Hello everyone, I'm Phoenixtremayne. Today I'm going to give you my final thoughts on Slasher Season 4, Flesh and Blood. Um, it's all spoilers. It's all spoilers. If you're watching this video, it's because you want to hear somebody else's opinion on what you watched or you don't mind being spoiled. Because this is part 2, where we're going to get right into it because I wanted to have a good old fashioned mystery, which Slasher usually provides. You're guaranteed a mysterious killer, and you're guaranteed horrific kills, some of which you probably haven't seen before. The show is really good at upping the ante on the way to get rid of people. But I'm going to go take you through episodes 5 through 8. I'm going to take you through my thought process on how I was trying to solve the mystery. Because I love mysteries. I write mysteries. I'm that guy. That, one of my favorite movies is Scream, just because of the mystery aspect of the first movie. So, season 4, episode 5, it made me wonder if I was wrong for just a moment in thinking that Theo might not be the killer. After all, even though he fit the profile on how to figure out, the murder mystery, look for the least likeliest person to have done it, the weakest person, the person who would be the most shocking to have done it. And that is how you usually can figure out who did it. Like, for instance, the usual suspects. I was kicking myself because I forgot the rule of, distraction. When you're writing a murder mystery, you create red herrings, which is the brother, which he turned out to be the whole time. You create a red herring that makes people look over here. This is the person who we want you to think did it. While over here, we're actually providing clues to, oh, you should have caught on that it was really this person over here. So it's because of, I forgot about O'Keefe, and since the villain is a gentleman, then I realized it could be interesting turn if O'Keefe, who's binary, turned out to be the gentleman in this sort of genderish type twist. But then O'Keefe died. So my theory went right back to Theo. He also didn't have a problem going after his mother for letting O'Keefe die. So he tried to play the saint card for most of the series, but for the second half, he began revealing himself, boosting my confidence that I was right since episode 1 that Theo did it. Episode 6, once again, put me on the Theo path, with Liv reminding us that Theo is the one that said no cops until Monday when they could be called. This also reminded me that the gentleman didn't go after O'Keefe, the brother or the mother, 3 people he initially cared about, because it seemed like the gentleman was getting rid of sinners, because they would show us the backstory of a person before they got bumped off. So it felt like, as the sins were being revealed, that, maybe that was the gentleman's motivation, that, when you didn't act like you were part of the family or a good person, he was going to come after you. So, and then I put the comment, WTF, the little girl cut off Florence's tongue and then she ate it as Florence watched. That is why we watch Slasher. You don't be seeing stuff like that in regular series. And I really didn't want to because I looked away. But I just marveled at how sadistic this show was going to go. Keeping in mind, I'm also watching Squid Game. It's like one or the other. Squid Game has a higher body count, but Slasher is just more vicious. So, I'm watching this girl chew this tongue, but then I realized, you didn't really get to see a lot of Abra, because, she was always from a distance. She was always like, look crazy and run away or something like that. And then for the first time with all of these close-ups on her, I said, my note I put was, now that she's in a lot more scenes, I'm suddenly trying to figure out what's her actual age. this is a situation like the movie The Orphan, where the family thought they were adopting a child, but she turned out to be a 33-year-old woman, passed herself off as a child. Also, was she in love with the father? So I really began, once I actually got a real close up look at her, instead of those, probably on purpose distant shots, I was like, this is a grown woman. And these people are sleeping way too hard for people afraid of a killer, was my next note. Because I'm like, if someone was running around horribly getting rid of people in the most vilest ways you can think of, the last thing I'm going to be doing is sleeping. You can't even go in a room and lock the door and feel safe because there's hidden passageways all over the place. Yeah, sleep would be a hard thing for me to do in this house. So, ends with the gentleman and Apra walking away together. But another clue we got was she was working with a male to steal the family fortune. And my note says, which brother was it? My thoughts are that it's Theo, the one that seems like the good one. But we are seeing he's not really that good. So, as Apra and the gentleman walked away, I assumed they were co-conspirators. And that maybe it was Theo or somebody that had her placed in that situation. Of course, I was wrong. If you've seen the show, I was completely wrong. But I'm just giving you my line of thought. So episode 7 is the reveal. You can see it in the synopsis of the episode that they reveal who the gentleman is. So, like, my mind is working. Well, that theory just went out the window. Okay. They just saved Apra death for the next episode. Okay, so my theory that her and the gentleman working together, all that got thrown out the window because the gentleman tied her up and sawed her in half. And that's when I put, is the gentleman punishing sinners? ? Then kissing cousins, Theo and Liv, plus he wanted to screw in the same room as the dead bodies. A big clue that Theo is the killer is that Vincent didn't know that Apra was already dead. So I felt like, I'm about to get the reveal that, I've been right since episode 1 because I like read Agatha Christie books. I watched Jackie Chan. I watched, I grew up on Murder, She Wrote, Scooby-Doo, every teenage novel in the library about mysteries and whatnot. I was like, I got this. I knew it from day one. It was Theo the whole time. Okay, so now I'm confused because none of the brothers look like they're the killer now because okay, so before I go to my next note, it was revealed that there was another person and that the gentleman just tried to kill the 3 survivors. So I started thinking to myself, well, it looks like one of the people who supposedly died didn't die. And so I started thinking. I went back to my other theory. I was like, it's O'Keefe. I was right. But I had that little hunch. There was O'Keefe. And I chose O'Keefe as the person who was the killer because O'Keefe's death could have been the most easily faked. A few people were cut in half. Eyes knocked out. Smashed. Grinded. Merle was like, had his insides taken out and whatnot. So, the grandfather, acid. So it was like, O'Keefe is the only person who could have maybe threw an Alka-Seltzer in her mouth or something and made some foam or something. Made her mother think that, or his mother, or O'Keefe's mother think that they died and they didn't. There was like a test or something. But I was wrong. So I know my next note was also the weird directorial decision. They had the killer fight him and then let him run away. I didn't understand why they showed a scene where the killer was in the middle of the fight, ran away, and then they all went in three different directions to try to get the killer. It was like the director, the way they directed it was like a bad shot. Like, why didn't you just follow the killer? You didn't really need to split up. Now I gotta hit pause and think this out. Who died in a way that could have survived? Most deaths were very gruesome, except O'Keefe. So are we O'Keefe? Are we on the O'Keefe train again? And then my last note is I'm confused as F word. The doctor that was ground up in the meat grinder is the gentleman. So I watched episode 8, the last episode, but y'all don't know how much I was in my feelings about how I spent 7 episodes trying to solve a murder mystery that could not be solved. The way it was written, you would never, ever, ever know that it was the doctor who we saw led up to the top of a meat grinder by that horrible mother that was on there, and Florence, and then she like threw a shoe or something at her, and then she fell, and then next thing you know, all of this blood and guts and body parts got shot out, and then her bracelet was in the guts. So I'm like, this answers one of the questions I've been asking since the first episode. Why haven't they showed Merle's body yet? But the first person that was murdered, they showed in the flashback she murdered him. She put him in the meat grinder because she talked about her and her grandfather. They put a bunch of people in the meat grinder before. But it made no sense that if she was going to grind him up, why didn't she turn it on? It was too. No, that's just bad writing. There was no way that anyone could ever guess that Merle's body had been in there. There were no clues set forth in the flashback. It didn't show nothing. It just showed that she pretended to fall backwards, but was holding on. And when Merle's body was ground up, she was screaming like it was her. And then Florence walked off happy. That ruined the whole show for me. Was it entertaining? Yes. My disappointment in how the murder mystery played out. Yeah, it's a show that I definitely recommend to people that love horror, that love horror series, that love horror mysteries in the sense that as long as you don't try to solve it and you just kind of let it all play out, the ending makes no sense. And then the way it ended, the two brothers, one of the brothers ended up killing the doctor who claimed that she had information on all of them and that information was going to come out because a lawyer had it if anything happened to her. And so the brother killed her anyway, and then the two brothers got into a fight, and then Theo basically had a wire in his pocket, and he just took that wire, got in his mouth, and he sawed it until half his brother's face got sawed off. Well, he sawed his brother's face off. And then it left the two, Liv and Theo, as the last two people left. And they didn't resolve how the lawyer was, did she lie about a lawyer having information on all of them, that this information is going to come out, because Liv ended up being the lone survivor, because after she had sex with Theo, which is her cousin, first cousin, they're 100% related. His mother is her aunt, So, after having sex with her cousin, first cousin, they're in bed, and he's talking about how he's going to marry her, and how she needs to not have anything to do with the family inheritance. It's all going to be him, and he's going to be the head of the household. And then, as he's talking down to her, and she's realizing this fairy tale is not going to have a happy ending for her, she then turns around and snaps his neck, making her the lone survivor of the massacre. We flash forward about 9 months or so, or like 8, 9 months, and she's pregnant by Theo. She's inherited the house and all of the money and everything, which we saw her. The will was inside of the grandfather's body. I think like his upper body, whatever, in his neck or whatever. And she got that, which she got blood all over. And it said that basically, this person wins everything. So at the end of the episode, she basically started going crazy, talking about how a parent would treat their child when they hate the father, and started smiling. And then she had all of the dead people just like staring back at her while she's like smiling back at them, and then it goes off. Now with Slasher, it's an anthology series. They don't go back to previous episodes, previous killers. Even though there's a couple that I wouldn't mind seeing another season of, but I think my favorite Slasher season is season 2. But that was good. That season 2 was the best of all 4 seasons. I didn't really like season 3 that much, but season 4 I would say is the third best. I would say season 2 is the best, then season 1, then season 3. Season 4, and then season 3 would come in last. So those are my thoughts on Slasher. Is this a series that you watch? Were you entertained? Did you try to figure out the murder mystery like I did and get disappointed? Who would have thought the person that got grinded up it was really still alive? Now I know we didn't know where Merle's body was, but the grandfather's body went missing too. So body was just everywhere, like a typical horror movie. When even Jason starts killing people, a lot of times the body is missing till the end of the movie, and somebody will run into like a cabin or something, and then all the dead people are just there, or they're at the table like they're having dinner or something. We've seen all those movies before. But that's it. Thanks for watching. I do recommend Slasher. I told you the order in which you should watch the series is currently on Shudder. Shudder is only $4.99 a month. So, it's a great deal. They have a lot of great stuff on there. This channel is not monetized. So, as long as it's on my second channel, it's not monetized. So, I'm not one of those people that Shudder has given some money to promote it. I'm just a personal subscriber to Shudder. It's a great deal at $4.99. And there's some good stuff. And when I get tired of looking at horror stuff, because sometimes it reaches the point where, okay, I've had enough horror, and I'll like check out for a couple months, and then something else will come up, and I'll start checking it out again. Like Elvira's 40th anniversary, I started watching that. So I would recommend this series, and I recommend Shudder, and I would love to hear if this is something that you've watched. Because I don't hear a lot of people talking about the Slasher series as like me. I don't really see a lot of other people talking about it. But thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.